Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 1-Up Superstar Series, round number 17 of 30 for 100 laps around the Monster Mile of Dover International Speedway. This high-banked, high-action 1-mile oval that's bound to bring us plenty of carnage as Miles the Monster prepares to chew up and spit out any cars that dare cross his path. And alongside me in the booth today is Duke Ansack for the race at hand at Dover. When people talk about this track, they often call it a self-cleaning racetrack. Why don't you tell our viewers why they say that?
Well, a self-cleaning racetrack, basically what that means is when you crash on the track, since the whole thing is banked, all of the cars slide to the inside of the track, thus clearing the path for others. But a lot of the time when those cars are clearing down the track, they collect more and more and more cars as they're crashing. So, that's really something to look for today when there is an accident, whether it be in the corner or the straightaway, because both are banked. They will be sliding down the track, so you want to go high to avoid those accidents.
Going to the grid now for today's 100-lap race at Dover. Stephen Hunter gets his second pole of the season and puts the 51 car on pole position. That's bad news for the field behind him. He's the winningest driver this season, tied with Jeffery Finguy with 3 wins apiece. So Hunter looking to get win number 4 of the season in a big way here at Dover. J.D. Martin lines up alongside him second. Christian Vargas behind them in third, in an almost repeat of what we saw at Kentucky a few weeks ago. Those three were the class of the field for the first half of the race before fading at the end. William Brock gets his best career start in fourth, ahead of the 2 Venta Motorsports cars of Jake McMillan and Ben McDonnell. Then the 2 championship protagonists of Jared Polansky and Justin Hutchinson, 7th and 8th. Finguy lines up 10th with Joshua Michaels alongside him in P9. With that being said, we've got a lot of big names at the front of the field. Is it safe to bet on one of them to find the keys to victory lane today?
Well, it's always a safe bet, especially when he's starting on the pole to pick that 51 car. But I don't know today. There's a lot of really fast cars up there. I'm specifically looking at J.D. Martin. I think that he could maybe have a breakout race. He might be able to take it to that 51 car. And then another thing you want to watch for is Jared Polansky and Justin Hutchinson back there in 7th and 8th. We have to see how they move up through the field in this race. Are they going to try to be aggressive and move up through the field, or are they going to, play it a little safe because they're in that championship fight? We'll see how that goes, and I really do think that they're gonna put on a show today for us in the middle of the pack, in the front of the pack, and then maybe even in the back of the pack too.
And with that being said, the cars are lined up on the grid for us, and we are ready to bring you 100 laps of action from the Monster Mile. This is the 1-Up Superstar Series from Dover International Speedway, and the green flag is next. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss a thing. With Stephen Hunter on the inside line, J.D. Martin to his outside. The field comes through 3 and 4 into the restart zone for the first time, and the green flag is out at Dover International Speedway. J.D. Martin looks like he's going to get the jump on Stephen Hunter on that outside line, but as they go into turn 1, I believe the 2 Revolution Racing teammates are going to get the advantage going into that corner, and Hunter will be clear of Martin going down the back straightaway for the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe J.D. Martin would have a shot there to take the lead as he was side by side with 51, but it didn't work out, and now the 51 is setting sail. It's not really good for the whole thing. We'll see if Christian Vargas is able to do anything with him, another Toyota guy, but it's really early. It's 100 laps around here. We're already on lap 2, so I don't expect anybody to be too aggressive to start this race.
Stephen Hunter now has a healthy lead over his teammate Christian Vargas, and as he comes off turn 4, he will lead the second lap of today's race. Stephen Hunter has not led a race in a little while now. He hasn't led in several races, but he's back out front now, and he's proving to the field that he is the defending champion for a reason. He will attack these corners as much as he can to try and build as big a lead as he can. He wants to prove that he's still the best, even after we've seen guys like Finguy win a bunch of races, Polansky, Hutchinson step up to the plate. But Stephen Hunter's trying to prove to the field that he's still the best for a reason, and he's showing it now. He's got a 3/10 lead over his teammate.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier that this was his second pole of the season, and it seems like, wait, this guy has been dominating this season. He's been winning a ton. He's the wins leader in the series. How does he only have 2 poles? Well, I think it might have to do with the fact that there was a while there where he wasn't able to do the qualifying. He was starting in the back. So I think that has something to do with it. But now that he's all healthy, now that he's all good to go, we're seeing the old Stephen Hunter back in it. We're watching him go around the track, and he's just pulling away. The 54 is coming with him a little bit, but it's still early. We're watching this race unfold in front of our eyes here. So it's really going to be an interesting thing to see if this 51 car is as strong as it looks right now throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, it looks like the Revolution Racing teammates have gapped J.D. Martin and Jake McMillan a little bit. You can see them off in the distance there. But they have announced Stephen Hunter will be back at Revolution Racing full-time in 2022. That added stability to his future can only mean good things coming out of that group. Their organization will remain the exact same way it is right now for 2022. Christian Vargas in the 54, Stephen Hunter in the 51. That team will be a force to be reckoned with for years to come if they stay the way they're at right now, because they're cruising ahead by 3/4 of a second over third place J.D. Martin.
You're absolutely right about that. When that just announcements like that, we're starting to get into that part of the season where we're getting announcements of next season. We're starting to figure out where the pieces are going to fall. And, when you're on a team and you don't know where you're going to be next season, if your contract is expiring, or if you're just not sure, if there haven't been a lot of talks, and you're seeing these other drivers, your competitors are getting rides, they're securing their seats. It's just one of those things that it's a peace of mind type of deal, and that helps you focus on the race instead of focusing on other things during the week.
One of those drivers that's got to be a little worried is J.D. Martin. He has not been renewed at Robbers Racing yet. He's had a pretty good season so far. A win at Dover, offset by a bit of inconsistency, but he's running third right now, and if I were Team Owner Miles Mashburn, I'd keep things as the status quo as well, because J.D. Martin is a valuable asset to any race team. He's consistently putting in good results as of late, and he's putting the early season inconsistency behind him, and now he's running in the third position, starting to chase down Christian Vargas for second.
Yeah, he is. He's cut that gap down to the leader, but about 1/4 of a second he cut it down. He was 3/4 back. Now he's half second back, so we'll see what it changes the line. Only a little bit of change there, but he is catching up, so this could get interesting real quick, because we've also got that 21 car back there, and I see Jared Polanski on the list. He's always lurking, that guy is. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of this race. They're kind of just settling in, I believe, at this point in the race. Only 12 laps in. There's a lot to lose right now and not a ton to gain, so you just want to be calm, be steady, but you want to be there so that you have the opportunity to make a move when you need to.
As things stand right now, Polanski would gain 2 points on his closest championship rival, Justin Hutchinson, but keep in mind these points do reset after race number 20 at Bristol. Then that's when the playoffs begin, and the drivers are reseeded based on the number of wins they have, and right now Stephen Hunter and Jeffery Finguy will go into the playoffs tied with 3 wins apiece and 15 bonus points apiece for those wins. So Hunter is looking to break that tie with Finguy and really put a stamp on his regular season and send it off in style, because we've only got 4 races until the regular season ends, 3 after today. So you really want to make sure that these remaining few races are as good as possible to carry some good momentum heading into the playoffs.
For sure, it's all a momentum game at this point in the season, especially for people that know they're pretty much secured into the playoffs at this point. And I'd say that Stephen Hunter, Justin Hutchinson, Jared Polanski, they're all pretty sure that they're going to be in at this point. It would take it would take a major thing to happen to knock them out of the playoffs at this point. But for those drivers, it's all about that, just securing and making sure that you've got momentum going into the playoffs. You don't want to lead into the playoffs with a couple of 12th-place finishes or anything. You want to be up there. You want to be competing for wins. You want to have a shot every single week so that you know that you're competitive. You know that you can be up there and race with the big dogs in this thing. And it's really closing in on for the lead right here. But for Stephen Hunter especially, that's important because of the injury and because of what has happened this season so far. This team is growing more and more confidence every single lap that 51 car is competing for the win here at Dover. So it's just one of those things that you gotta keep in mind. It's all about the mind games. It's all about the thought processes, and it's all about the team and how they're feeling going into each week.
Talking about the playoff battle right now, the battle for 12th position is as white hot as it'll ever be, because going into this race after a wild and attrition-focused race at Pensacola last week, Blair in the 19 and Henry Thomas in the 8 are currently tied for that final playoff position, with Roberto Crown Jr. only 2 points behind them. Blair, I believe, would get the tiebreaker. She has the best finish of the two, with a second-place finish at Paris compared to Thomas's best being a couple of third-place finishes at Indianapolis and Pensacola. So, I believe Blair would get that spot now, but Henry Thomas has been on a meteoric rise as of these last few weeks, and it's good to see that Vento Motorsports team starting to run where they deserve to, because we got two of them, his two teammates, McMillan and McDonald, running 4th and 6th right now, just ahead of Justin Hutchinson we're looking at right now in the 10. So Thomas is on a really big rise. We'll see if that momentum can carry him all the way into the playoffs as we look at William Brock now in the 93. A little bit too far back in the point standings to make a serious playoff bid. He's currently 26th in points, but still a very good run for the 93. Started 4th. He's currently running in the 9th position, so running well ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., who currently resides in the 10th position on the racetrack.
Yeah, for sure. It's really, you got to watch those guys on the line, because they're going to be the ones that race the most aggressive today. You got to watch Blair, and you got to watch Henry Thomas, Roberto Crown Jr., like you were talking about. They're going to be the ones that are racing aggressive in this one today. So that's where your eyes should be focusing during this race if you can, watching those guys. They're going to be crazy.
Another driver that's fairly safe as far as the playoffs are concerned is this 91 of Nick Ortiz, a stark contrast to what he faced in 2020. Remember that thrilling race at Phoenix where he made it in on the final lap with a fastest lap point to get ahead of Stephen Gale into the playoffs. That was a Game 7 moment in and of itself. So I'm sure Nick Ortiz would rather get into the playoffs this way by being very comfortably ahead. As we look back through the field, see Joshua Michaels, Bobo Jones, Stephen Gale, as we mentioned before, in the 35. He's made some gains in this race, but right now, Nick Ortiz is in a very good spot, as we said. He's currently 5th in the points. He's about 120 some odd points back, but he's of the lead, but he's fairly safe as far as the playoffs are concerned. If you look back through the rest of the field, Jeff Bolton runs in the 20th position, a good rebound from him after another top 15 at Pensacola, his best finish of the season. So Bolton having a very strong run in this 38 car, as we watched JQ Halleck, who had a very strong run at Pensacola, finished 11th. Zachary Fitzwater, who did not have a good run at Pensacola, he DNF'd out of that race, finished 37th. Anderson Reed got a good run at Pensacola. Daniel Bouchard and Arbor Xavier crashed out. And looking back through the rest of this field, we're taking you through the field now to see where your favorite driver is running in this race. Patrick Smith running in 26. He starts poorly, but he always makes his way to the front in these races. That's what we like to say about Smith. Kyle Vaughters runs 27th ahead of Cody Goforth, who had an unfortunate DNF at Pensacola. He's trying to claw his way back up into the points battle. We've already talked about Blair in the 19 to an extent. She's currently 12th in points, but she might lose that spot to Thomas and Crown, as she currently runs in the 29th position. And right behind her, Glenn Mixon, who is a bit of a surprise. He qualified up in the top 20, I believe, in this race. But he's fallen back to 30th. I guess it's just growing pains with that rookie organization. He started 16th, but he's fallen back to 30th now. Diego Yepes races Ricky Freeman Jr. for 31st. Henry Brown runs 33rd. Kevin Carter has had not as good a run as we expected him to have today. He's running back in the 34th position. Hopefully he can recover something out of this day. Ethan Zanstra, Richard Herman, Miles Mashburn's had a struggle today as well. A bit of a surprise to see out in the Robbers Racing Camp, especially when his teammates doing so well. Brandon Beal, Ryan Silford, and the two Saul Speed Enterprises cars run 40th and 41st in this race. Saul and Spartaco, and then Jason Parker runs shotgun on the field today, who's making his first start of the season since Bristol back in April. It's a very good thing to see that 27 car back in the field, and that's your run, one of your runs through the field. as we go back up front, Stephen Hunter continues to lead, and Christian Vargas is hot on his heels for the lead.
You're right. He's not leading by a lot. I mean, he's up there, he's hanging, but that 54 is still right behind him. And then, of course, the 66 and the 21 are both latched on as well to this 4-car group that is pulled away, And I think that's something interesting as you were going through the field there that I was noticing is there are a lot of cars that have missed the mark almost in this race. The conditions of practice and qualifying were a little bit different than the race here today. So, maybe that setup was just a little bit off. Maybe they came into this race thinking one thing and then something else happened with the weather that has caused them to fall back. But I mean, Miles Mashburn and all those guys that have fallen behind in this race. It's a little bit surprising to see that they've fallen so far behind at the beginning of this thing. But, I'll tell you what, this 51 car is looking stout, and I think that the 54 is looking even better. The fact that he's able to keep up, he's able to stay there right on the bumper, I think that that's really good. I think he's just saving his stuff right now and making sure that he's there at the end when it matters.
And talking about those guys at the back, they're only going to have one chance to make an adjustment on their cars to get it right. We only have one pit stop to make in this race. It's going to be interesting to see who gets it right and who falls even further behind as a result of their adjustment. Rocket off of turn 2 with Stephen Hunter in the lead of this race, ahead by about a quarter of a second over teammate Christian Vargas. The Revolution Racing teammates have run 1-2 this entire race. They've put a bit of a whipping on the field so far, where we've completed 35 laps. Stephen Hunter has led all of them, and I believe he has broken the 100 laps led barrier this season, a title that was previously only held by a few other drivers before him. It was only held previously by Polanski, Hutchinson, and another driver I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but Hunter is now eclipsed 100 laps led, so it's a very good sign for his season that he's leading laps again. And unless Vargas or Martin has something to say about it, we could see another shutout here as far as laps led in this race.
I know it really has that green flag shutout feel, doesn't it? But I just can't see this race going all the way with that 54 car sitting back there so close. I mean, he's got to be learning right now. He's got to be figuring stuff out. And then also the 66. You might argue that the 54 teammate, he's just going to stay there. He's going to hang, sit there in second place and then deal with it. But that 66, he's also right there. I think that, one of these guys is going to make a move at some point in this race. Whether it's soon or not, I don't know. But I think that before this race is over, we will see some moves be made.
And lap traffic could be a factor. You saw Jason Parker in the 27. He was just coming off of turn 4 as the leaders were heading into 3. So lap traffic could be a factor in this race, and it'll determine, I believe, who gets the lead in this race for keeps. Because if Parker and the 2 Salt Speed cars, they're probably the slowest 3 on the racetrack right now. If those 3 hold up Hunter a little bit, that could allow Vargas to get to his inside or even around the outside and allow the 54 past his teammate. So the lap traffic will be an interesting factor. I'm sure a lot of drivers are unhappy with the lap traffic after last week at Pensacola, but here it's not as bad. They run at a fairly reasonable pace compared to the leaders, and it's easier to navigate them, and it doesn't cost as much when you fall behind them, especially at a place like this.
Yeah, for sure, and it looks like maybe Stephen Hunter heard us talking about the lap traffic because he's starting to pull a gap a little bit there. But something interesting about this race that I've noticed so far is that everybody is running the same line around this track, right directly in the center of the corner, and then they're coming a little bit low off of the corner. So something that's interesting to me is that maybe there's a chance on the bottom lane. If somebody were to experiment and figure out if there's a way to get down there, or maybe if there is a lap car slowing down the leaders, there could be opportunity to get around because the low lane is the shortest way around this track. So, it's just something to think about during this race as we start to catch lap cars, as things start to change, as the race moves on and flows. that's going to be where the pass is made, if it truly is that everybody's just kind of stuck right now.
So with Hunter out in front, Vargas second, and Martin in third, they started to leave Jake McMillan behind a little bit. He's now 1.2 seconds off this lead group. Actually, he's starting to close the gap a little bit to Martin, but that's just maybe because the field by itself as a whole is starting to string out a little bit. Looking back at J.D. Martin, he got a win at Denver. Jake McMillan has yet to win this season, but he did lead his first laps of the season at Pensacola last week, so that's a feather in his cap right there. He knows he won't go through a leadless season in 2021, and he's got to be looking forward to his favorite racetrack, his home racetrack, next week at Watkins Glen, a track where he thoroughly dominated the last year. So if there's anyone with momentum on his side, it's got to be that 21.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that car has really come alive in this part of the season, and there's no other crew I'd rather be on than the 21 crew going into Watkins Glen. You know that it's going to be a fight there for the 21 car. They're going to really put a whooping on the field. So we'll see, though. We'll see. You know, we've got a couple more road course aces in this field that we've seen this season so far. So we'll see how it works out. You know, it's not a guaranteed win until the race is over. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as here at Dover, I think that I saw in the corner of one of these cameras that there is a lap car that they're going to catch pretty soon here. We'll see. Yeah, right there. And that's actually the back of the field, so it's more than just the one lap car. There's three that they're going to catch real soon. I do want to ask, are we looking forward to pit stops in this race, or what's going on?
There will be one. I'm not quite sure what the fuel window is because we haven't. They didn't run a full fuel run in practice. So it's hard to tell what a full fuel run will be here at Dover, but I can tell you for sure is Jason Parker is going to be caught by this lap traffic, and even though he's got to be happy, making the race was a win for him. Now he's just got to bring it home in one piece, and so far he's doing that. He's running shotgun on the field right now, but it's good to see the 27 running in this field again like he was at Bristol. Hopefully he has a better run here than he did then. And there's the Burger King Chevrolet of Jason Parker, and then the two Sol Speed cars battling for, I believe, the 39th position here between Braden Saul in the 78, the team owner of that ride, and then Orion Spartaco in the 87, the rookie, who made the first 5 races of the season due to being locked in. But after that, it's been a spotty record for him to make the field, and sadly, we have to report that after a win at Pensacola last week, it's gone from a win to a last-place finish for Jeffery Finguy. We say goodbye to him early in this race with an engine failure in the 92 Ford. He was running in the top 10, but he'll have to gear up for Watkins Glen next time out. That pun was not intended at all, by the way, because it was a gearbox failure. We got trouble on the racetrack. That's Diego Yepes in the 77. He's blown up as well and made contact with the inside wall. So the caution is undoubtedly going to come out because of this. And look, and then we've got, and Jason Parker just got the biggest break of his career right there. He's going to stay on the lead lap after all this.
Wow, he was about to go a lap down. I was about to start talking about how he could be holding up the leaders a little bit and allow everybody to catch up, but everybody's able to catch up for a different reason. It's the 77 car here, who I saw there was a spin, but it looks like there's smoke. I wonder if it was maybe some kind of...
And it looks like we got more trouble on the other side of the wall. That's Ryan Soper and Brandon Beal. They are stuck on the apron of the racetrack. Could it be that they slipped on some oil laid down by the 77, and now they're just stuck on the apron? Richard Herman's down there as well. I've never seen anything quite like this, to be honest. You said it was a self-cleaning racetrack, but I didn't expect cars to literally be stuck at the bottom of the racetrack with no hope of getting out, as we see pit stops now underway here at Dover. So we will see who wins this battle off pit road. But right now we have 3 cars in danger of losing an opportunity at this race right now because they're all stuck on the infield portion.
Yeah, there is a lot of banking change between the apron and the track, and that's just where they're stuck. They're not able to get any traction because their wheels are literally hovering off the ground. Looks like the 21 has gotten out second, and the 54 has lost a lot of positions on the pit road.
Yeah, he fell back to 5th there. Oh, and what's happened to Jason Parker? We were just talking about him. He got back on the lead lap. It must have been an issue on pit road for that Burger King Chevrolet, and Ryan Soper is still stuck on the apron. It looks like his car's been beached. He's got half his car on the banking and half on the flat. I don't think he can go anywhere. Same with Richard Herman. These guys could be in danger of falling out of the race right here just because they are literally beached on the banking here.
That is incredible. I mean, you do not see
And look,
that very
I hate to interrupt, but Nelson Reeves is out of the race as well. Another collision on pit road. Could it be the same one that might have eliminated Jason Parker from this race? We'll, of course, get a replay of all of this as soon as one's available to us, but there you see Richard Herman he's trying his best to get out of that situation, but he just can't go anywhere. I've truly never seen anything quite like this before in my entire career of covering the sport. So you see Yepes on the flat. Herman's just minding his own business. I think he just got caught up by the oil on the track. Kevin Carter, oh my goodness, Kevin Carter slipped up big time on the oil and dropped it into the inside wall. Ethan Zanstra got a piece, Miles Mashburn, but they managed to get back onto the racetrack. What I'm concerned about is that Ryan Soper, Brandon Beal, and Richard Herman are now stuck on the apron of the racetrack. And now that we're on the pit road side of things, we can find out what happened to Jason Parker and Nelson Reeves as in this pit road melee. So
he had a lot of speed.
Yeah, he did. He probably would have gotten a penalty regardless for speeding, but you can see he's caught up to Nelson Reeves. And is this going to be a little turn-in issue right here? Oh, absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
Gosh.
Reeves tried to turn into a pit, and Parker was already there. And now Parker's car is wedged between Lane Sanders and Nelson Reeves, and you can see the damage he's doing to both of those cars on this. You can see the damage intensifying on the front end of Reeves, and I'd assume on the rear end of Sanders as well. Parker was just wedged between both of those cars, and now Reeves is out of the race because of it.
I mean, this, we were watching these guys kind of freight train around the track the whole time, and then there was a blown engine, and now everything has changed very dramatically in this race. And Ryan Soper is going crazy on the bottom.
Yeah, he's coming to the restart right here, trying to get his laps back. But as the pace car pulls on the pit road, leaves us in the hands of Stephen Hunter once again. The lap cars back up to get back in line. Stephen Hunter, third car in line, will take us to the restart on lap number 57 of 100. And Hunter leads him off into turn one. He's got 2 lap cars to deal with, but once he does that, he should be free and clear ahead of McMillan and Martin, who are now side by side for second.
Boy, so now it's a decompression period for everybody trying to watch this race.
I hate to interrupt again, but I saw the 91 of Nick Ortiz just scrape the wall there off the corner. But it looks like he'll be able to continue on in about 10th position, so he should be fine to continue on. Martin has moved up into second place, past McMillan, and now Hunter has cleared Spartaco, and now he's just got Braden Saul to clear to have a free racetrack ahead of him. So it'll be very interesting to see how much of a gap Hunter can pull. And is Ryan Soper stuck again on the apron of the racetrack? Is there still remnants of oil on the track? As a result of there you can see the 23 there. He could
again.
That Brandon Beal on pit road again. Oh, Ryan Soper's this isn't sporting at all. To stop on the track like this and hope to get another yellow flag to resolve your issue, because that is dangerous right there.
This is scary. A moment right here. He's coming back up on the track.
That is undoubtedly going to get the caution he would hope for. But yeah, you see the caution flag out there, but that is not sporting in the slightest. As Richard Herman's on pit road to address some further issues with his Dodge, but that was not a sporting moment in the 1-Up Superstar Series. I expect the officials will reprimand him for that action to bring out a caution like that, but now we've got the field all bunched up once again, and now we've got 2 more cars a lap down as a result of that.
So what this will do is it'll put those 2 Speed cars on the bottom lane on this restart, and that's going to block those leaders from being able to get to where they want to go. I'm not sure if they're going to get a big jump like they did last time or not. We'll have to see how that goes. And then the 27 is back up and running. I mean, as damaged as that car is, they're back on the track. And then here's Ryan Soper, who really has had a tough season. But that, It's just you kind of make your own luck sometimes, and today, not a great day for that 23 car.
You can't excuse that at all, though. Even if he's had 42nd place finishes every race, which of course he has not, but that's still inexcusable no matter what situation you're in. That would earn a penalty, even if you were leading the points and had a perfect season up to this point. That would be a penalty regardless. So I would expect one to be handed down after the race is complete. They may park him. I'm not sure. They might just let him continue on. I think they are going to let him continue, but I'm sure there will be a penalty handed down after the race has been run. As we check in on the fastest lap of the race, Roberto Crown Jr. holds that with a 22.25. That's a very fast lap, ahead of Jake McMillan and Stephen Hunter, both with the same exact time, a 22.30. So Crown gets the bonus point, which should help him in the battle for the points position. Of course, it can still change. We still got 39 laps to go in this race, so don't count out another fastest lap changing hands. But Stephen Hunter has led all 61 laps so far, and now that he's got clear track ahead, I'm just not sure if anyone can catch him at this rate. We will take you to the restart as soon as the pace car pulls off pit road. So until then, we will step aside and bring you the rest of the race when it's available to us. This is the 1UP Superstar Series from Dover. A bit of controversy in this one, but we will be back with the restart next. Lansky, Hutchinson, Crown, Brock, and Ortiz rounding out the top 10. Pace car makes the hard left turn on the pit road, leaves us in the hands of Stephen Hunter once again. And as they head Group 3 and 4 into the General Tire restart zone, and we will take this green flag with about 35 laps to go in this race.
Look at that. Stephen Hunter has gotten a really good run on the restart. And, oh, man, that is going to be tough to see from all the competitors because he has just taken the lead and nobody else has cleared those lap cars on the bottom. Stephen Hunter is going to drive away with this one now. Look at that. The 78 car is still a buffer and they're still struggling on the outside. Everybody else who's on the lead lap.
Martin and McMillan have gotten around Ryan Spartaco, but they are now 6/10 back of the race leader. Now we got a battle for second brewing on our hands between McMillan and Martin. As you can see, him slip sliding off of turn 2. This track is very slippery here in the hot conditions here this weekend. So it's going to be very tough to keep control of your car, as we saw. And with the oil slicks being laid down, that just made it even worse for 3 of our drivers here this afternoon. I must reiterate, I have never seen anything quite like that before. But who knows? We might see it if and when we come back to this venue in 2022 or beyond. We never know quite yet.
Yeah, you know, that was a really bizarre situation there, and we've got just over 30 laps left in this thing, and we're watching JD Martin here, and he still has not been able to get around that 78 car, you know, and this is just only allowing the 51 to gain more and more of a gap. He's up to 8/10 ahead. This is the biggest lead we've seen of anyone all day, and of course the 51 has been the only leader, so it's his biggest lead, and it's only growing at this point. So the 66, he's got to go. He's got to get by the lapper, and he's got to track down that 51 car if he wants to have any shot at winning this race.
Christian Vargas has now gotten around Ben McDonald for the 4th position, and back here, it's just a hornet's nest of cars trying to get around Beal and Herman. You got the 2 championship leaders side by side, 46th position. Hutchinson looks like he'll take the spot away from Polanski on the outside, and behind him you have the Genesis Engineering teammates of William Brock and Bobo Jones. They are running 8th and 9th, and ahead of them, well, right behind them I should say, is Joshua Michaels, who started at 9th, fell back a little bit earlier, but after a very disappointing crash at Pensacola, he needs one of these top 10 runs at the end of this thing, because he fell from 10th to 15th in points after Pensacola. He needs a big boost if he's going to have any hope at all of fighting for a championship.
Absolutely, you know, it's always heartbreaking at that track because everybody goes into it, they know they have a shot, and then inevitably, somehow, some way, there's a big crash that takes out a bunch of them, and then it's just an absolutely heartbreaking thing. And then, of course, the lap cars were there to impact the end of that race. So good run at the next track or the track right before is always helpful because those super speedway races are really, really tough on the mental capacity sometimes, just because of how heartbreaking it can be to go there and then lose it by not your own doing.
And remember, Joshua Michaels has not been signed back to Royal Performance Motorsports for 2022. They are going to downsize to just Kyle Waters' entry in 2022. I'm a little surprised at that because Michaels has had a very good season, top 10s in half of his races so far this season, and he's 15th in points, the highest of that team right now. So, if I were the team owner on that organization, I'd highly reconsider this move because Joshua Michaels is putting in a workhorse's performance this season. He's had top 10s in 7 out of 16 races. He's running in the top 10 right now. That's really your bright spot on the team. I know Kyle Waters won at Armour Digital, but that was a super speedway, and he only led that one lap there. So Joshua Michaels has been the most consistent on that team. I can't make the decision for him,
no.
but now you can see that JD Martin has gotten around the 78 of Saul, and now is starting to close the gap on Hunter quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, this is really exciting for me because I know that 66 car. He's got power under the hood. He's got the drive in the driver's seat to really get by. I really think that he's got a shot. And here's the 54 car up to 3rd place now. He's gained 2 positions, which is more than I thought he'd be able to get with the amount of passing we've had today. So I really do think that this race could get interesting by the end of it. We're on lap 77 now, and the 66 is catching up.
We've got a quarter of this race still to run, though, and everything is still on the cards here at Dover International Speedway. The gap's down to 0.3 of a second now. Vargas has cut the gap down to 2 full seconds, but I'm not sure if he can regain that amount of time in this dwindling number of laps. So I really believe it'll come down to Martin and Hunter for the victory here at Dover. But keep in mind that Jason Parker is still on the racetrack, and he is seconds slower than anyone else. Yeah, there you see him going into 1 right there. So they're gonna catch him, and you can already see them catching him. So will Parker be a bit of an inconvenience for Hunter as he tries to get down into the corner? Here we go. This is the first test. It looks like Parker will move out of the way fairly easily for the late race leader, so he will go another lap down. That's good sporting out of Jason Parker. He knows he's not going to win this race with a damaged race car. So he's not going to inconvenience those that are going to race for the win. We've seen some bad sporting moments at this race at Dover, but we've just seen some good ones as well out of Jason Parker. But right now, the gap is starting to increase a little bit once again. It's back up to half a second. So Martin is starting to lose touch with the leader. My question is, with 20 laps to go, can he get back up there?
Well, of course he's close enough to get back up there now. We haven't seen a pass for the lead all day, not even in the pits. So I'm not sure what the 66 car can do at this point. I thought that lap car might be his opportunity there. There's absolutely no change at the line that time. They're running the exact same lap times. Man, oh man, it's going to be tough, but I think it's possible. And of course, I think that the 54 is quick enough to maybe catch these 2, but it's all going to depend on what the 51 runs. We'll see this time by what the update is. A little bit quicker from the 66 car and a lot of it quicker from the 54. He shaved off a 10th and a half right there. So, that's enough to get him up there. And of course, he's made a couple passes under green flag today. That 54 car has. So we'll see what happens in the rest of this race. We'll see if anybody's able to get up there and make any moves.
Meanwhile, looking back through the field, a good run from Stephen Gale, who runs just outside the top 10. In 11th, he's gotten past Joshua Michaels, as has Nick Ortiz, to move himself up into the top 10 in that 91 Ford. To cement his position into the playoffs, a few drivers could lock themselves in after this weekend. Particularly the top 5 in points could lock themselves into the playoffs if they leave this race with a 159-point lead over the 13th position in points. If anybody leaves this race with a 159-point cushion or more above that 13th position, they will be locked into the playoffs. And I believe the top 5 in points are on pace to do that. So a good run from Ortiz, good run from who else up there? Vargas, Hunter, Polanski, and Hutchinson. They're all running in the top 10, so I believe they'll be able to clinch playoff berths in this race here right now.
I agree, and I think that Jeffery Finguy is also one that could maybe do that, depending on the finish in this race.
He's going to finish 42nd. He blew the engine out.
Yes. Okay, so never mind. That's not going to happen for Jeffery Finguy today.
He'll have to look forward to Watkins Glen, Darlington, Bristol to try and clinch his place in the playoffs. He missed it last year, and he's hoping to make it for the first time this time around.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Forgetful me, Jeffery Finguy out of the race today. You know, and that's going to hurt that team. You know, on the points. I think that maybe he's going to be on the bubble in the bubble question at least after this race. So he's going to have to really pick it up and have some consistent runs after this race to stay in the picture. And here's something interesting going on up at the front. The 66 car, he's fallen a little bit behind. He's 0.65 back now. Let's see if it updates. 0.63. So he's still back at that same point, but the 54 has gained a half a second on these guys as of right now, and he's running out of time. But if he could get up there and get by the 66, I think he might have something to say about the 51 car just winning this race.
And we mentioned the fastest lap could be stolen once again. It has. Stephen Gale with a 22:24 has now taken that fastest lap point away from Roberto Crown Jr. So moved to 35 up a point in his bid to make the playoffs for the first time. Remember, he lost out to Nick Ortiz in that truly heartbreaking fashion at Phoenix last year. But hopefully now he'll be able to make the playoffs for a second go-round, as we now have 10 laps to go here from Dover.
10 laps to go, and nobody's making big moves right now in as far as catching this 51 car who's led all the laps. You know, the 66 is still a half second down, the 54 more than a second and a half at this point. We'll see what the update is at the line. Oh, it's growing. The lead is growing. The 66 car, I'm sure that they're telling him every single time what the gap is and how much they're gaining, and it's just got to be so frustrating. He's doing everything he can in that car to catch Stephen Hunter, and just absolutely can't right now. The 51 car is too strong at this track. Oh, well, there's a little bit of gain. So right now they're radioing in to J.D. Martin. They're saying, you got to do that again. Whatever you just did, do it again, because you gained a little bit of time there. There's enough time for you to get up there. You only have second back. Come on, man. You can do it.
If he saved anything at all in these 93 laps, he's got to use it now. And you can see that gap starting to close a little bit, although he's just lost a couple hundredths there. Now it's back up to half a second. So Stephen Hunter, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, and as long as Jason Parker cooperates this next time they lap him, they should be in, this 51 team should be in good shape to get their 4th win of the season, and it'll be the first time, I believe, in Stephen Hunter's career that he will have led every lap of a race.
Wow, that is a surprising statistic for me to hear because of how dominant this driver has been for his whole career. We'll see. There comes the slow car. We'll see. Played nice last time. I expect the same this time, but you always get a little nervous when they're coming by. We'll see what happens. He's going to catch him on the straightaway. He's going to slip in right behind him. That's going to really slow him down. The 66 car is going to be able to gain a ton of time here. We'll see if the 66 can get by.
They have gotten past Jason Parker, and he's now behind the 2 leaders. This has really brought this battle to life as we're coming to 4 laps to go here at Dover. We'll see what the lead is at the line here. The gap is back up to half a second, so that lap car didn't even affect it in the slightest. So now the question for Stephen Hunter is, can I execute 3.5 more laps perfectly and score our 4th win of the season and the 7th of his career here at Dover?
Oh my gosh, I just don't see, now at this point in the race, I don't see that 66 catching him. It's still, their lap times are so similar. The 54 has chopped it down to just more than 1 second. It's
going to be too little too late, though, for that.
Too little too late for that car. Oh my gosh, what a performance from the 51 car, really. Just absolutely smoking everybody. Nobody can match those lap times or do better. He's still pulling away, even on lap 99. My goodness.
Stephen Hunter is here to prove that he's still got what it takes to win races and contend for a championship. We haven't mentioned him much in the last few races. We've seen other names make their way to victory lane, some people making it to victory lane for the first time. But as we come off turn 4, take the white flag one more time around from Dover, Stephen Hunter's just got to navigate one more mile of this high bank concrete oval, and he'll have his 4th win of the season. Coming off of turn 2, down the back straightaway for the final time. Stephen Hunter, after a few months out of victory lane, he's going to come back in a big way, lead all 100 laps, and as he rounds turn 4 for the final time, Stephen Hunter will take the checkered flag and win here at Dover International Speedway. J.D. Martin 2nd, Christian Vargas 3rd, Jake McMillan 4th, and then this drag race for 5th between McDonnell and Hutchinson settled in favor of the number 12. Hutchinson will come home 6th, gaining 1 point on Jared Polansky, who finishes 7th. William Brock gets a good top 10 run in 8th, ahead of his teammate Bobo Jones. And Nick Ortiz will round out the top 10 in a race where I believe the top 4 in points, after the top 4 or 5 in points, I believe, will have clinched their places in the 1UP Superstar Series playoffs after this race is over. So, we will have to consult the points after this race is over. But unless I'm mistaken, we've got 5 spots locked down for the 1UP playoffs, and now there's 7 more up for grabs.
Yeah, and there is no denying that 51 car. Stephen Hunter, he's here to win. He is a contender, and do not count that car out of the question when it comes to the championship, because Jared Polansky, Justin Hutchinson, today they had nothing for him. So nobody had anything for that 51 car. So I think that he is always in the question to win the championship, and especially right now, that team is hitting all cylinders, and they are just absolutely dominating. So Stephen Hunter, he's going in with momentum now. That's a great way to win, and we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks.
Come Homestead, we will see who will be in contention for that championship. But right now, we're focused on next week. We head to upstate New York for the high-speed road course at Watkins Glen International. It was a bit of a stink show last year when Jake McMillan hit a grand slam for the only time in 1UP Superstar Series history that has happened. Hopefully, we'll see some more action than that when we come here next week. So make sure you stay tuned for that, as both 1UP Racing Series will hit the track at Watkins Glen for their next rounds in their championships. So, from Duke Anzac and from myself as well, we say goodbye for now from the Dover International Speedway, and we got to offer our big congratulations to Stephen Hunter, who led every lap today, all 100, a perfect 100. He is your winner after a chaotic and controversial day here at the Monster Mile.